Okay, so I am at my machine. This is my machine that I do everything on. I'm using a thread called Glide. Glide, yeah. It's a polyester. This is like number 10,000 white. Okay. And it's on a big spool, which is getting fed in through my machine to the bottom, and I've got the same in my bobbin. All right, I'm using a HP foot, which means high precision. Okay, which just means that I know that the edge of that is a scant quarter. Now you can get 1/4 inch feet that's got a little bit of a lip on it that helps you, but what you need to be able to do, hopefully, is to either manipulate your fabric or manipulate your needle. Let me turn it on a minute. Hopefully it'll go where it should go. Yeah. Resume last pattern. Okay. If you're finding, do a few test pieces and measure it with your tape measure. And if you're finding that you're not doing an accurate 1/4 of an inch, then move your needle to the right, yeah, a little bit, if you can. But the essence of this is you need an accurate 1/4 inch seam. Okay. So I'm also put mine onto well, I got on 1.8, but I'm going to move it up to 2, a 2-inch stitch length, because we want this to be quite tight. Yeah, I've got my piece of paper here. I hope you can see that, with showing me which bit goes to what. And the first thing I think we're going to do is take the F, yeah, which is the largest piece of fabric. Yep. Okay. And we're going to snowball the corners. Now, what does that mean? What do I mean when because I got all my pieces here. Yeah, all my bits I want to use is here. So what do I mean by snowballing the corners? Well, we're going to have to take, let me just separate this out a minute to my backgrounds. We're going to take, I've got 4 of those, haven't I? Yeah, those are the 4 that I need. These 2.5 inch squares, yeah, we're going to put, you could pin it if you want. Let me see, have I got any pins? Yeah, let's just put a pin in there to hold it a second, and take the other piece face down accurately to the corner, and I'll put another pin in, bent pin, let's get a straight pin, straight pin, and pin it. Now when I say snowball, hope you can see this, yeah, what I mean is to get yourself a friction pen that you're going to be able to see. This is a navy blue one, yeah, and a ruler. And I haven't got it pinned accurately, yeah, we're going to draw a line from one corner. Oh, I've got a pin in it now. I can't do it with a pin in. Right. But I'm going to draw a line from one corner to the other. Can you see that on camera? All right. And I'm going to put my pin back in to hold it. Take my pin out this side. And then I'm going to do the opposite corner. Yeah. So from corner to corner, I'm going to draw myself a line down that way, yeah? That's my sew line. And I'm going to put my pin back in. So now I am going to sew directly on that line with my, oh, I've got shoes on, hang on a minute. Can't sew with shoes on, hate it. Can't sew with a shoe on. Right, take off my shoes. I'm going to lower my foot, and I am just going to sew, making sure that that is all squared up on my fabric. And I'm going to sew, and you don't have to go mad, just sew down the line that we just drew and off. Cut your threads, and then I'm going to do, oh, my threads did not cut for some reason. Don't know why my threads didn't cut. Pair of scissors. Right. I haven't used this machine. That's the bottom one. That's the top one, but it seems to be stuck. Just a moment. Mm-mm. 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 Bit of thread stuck in there. So take my bobbin out. Make sure that's seated. Pop my cover back on. Why does this happen to me every time I film something? It goes haywire. Load my bobbin back up, thank you. Plonk that back in with that back under. I'm ready to go. So now I'm just going to do exactly the same but the opposite direction with, so I put my foot down with the other corner and sew all the way and off the edge with the other side, and that worked. Right, now you need to take a ruler. I got a few things here. I'm going to take my mini cutting board, okay, and we can take the pin out because it's not going to go anywhere now. And using a 1/4 of an inch, I put my 1/4 inch line on the sew line, and using a 1/4 of an inch, oh, I didn't do that very well, cut line, get rid of excess, and exactly the same the other way. Take the pin out, put my 1/4 inch line on my sew line and cut off 1/4 inch that way. And that's a long thread, so I'm cutting him up as well. Right, okay, so having done that, now this piece F and 2 of the 2.5 inch squares, if I had to fold it back and iron it, you can see we've done what we call a snowball effect on the bottom of this sheep. So I'm just going to quickly press that. I always work with my iron and my ironing. I got a little cubby hole here next to me, so I've always got my iron heated up and ready to go. So now that is the snowball effect that we want in that largest piece of the puzzle. So that is F and 2 B's if you're looking at your diagram. Okay. And the next thing that we know that we can sew at the bottom is A, which should be exactly the same length, piece A of the background, yeah? And to do that, then all we need to do is to square it up on one corner. I mean, you can pin this if you want, yeah? But I'm just going to square it up on one corner. And then again, using my 1/4 inch, sew all the way down. Making sure I keep it nice and square as I come to the bottom. And then I can then fold that back and press it. So now I have got the bottom of the sheep sewn on, which is where we're going to draw the legs eventually, right? So now there's no more we can do with the bottom of the sheep at the moment, because we've got to do now some of the top half of the sheep. So that's one, but that is one big part ready to go for our next bit. Right, now we're going to do, having done the bottom section so far, and keeping our grass to one side, we're going to need pieces M, K and B. Well, B is a 2.5 inch white background square, and M is my bit of fleece, which is, I believe, it's, where's my M? 2.5 by 3 inches, which is that piece, and a K, and the K is 1.5 inch square, which we've got 4 of. There they are, 1.5 inch squares. So now we're going to make the very top left hand sort of square is here, okay? So we want the B, it doesn't matter with my felt which way round it goes, so we want the B to go on top of the M, okay? And we're going to snowball this again. So the easiest way to do that is to get a ruler and draw your line. Where's my pen? Draw your line. From tip to tip of your B square, and that's your sew line, okay? So we're going to pop that under the machine and sew in directly on the line we've just drawn, okay? Still using our 2.0 stitch, and straight off the corner. okay? And then with our cutting board, we're going to put a 1/4 inch line on our sew line and cut away the fabric in that corner. So that we can iron the background back to make up the square again. So that snowballed the top half of the ear. Then right sides together in the bottom corner, we're going to do exactly the same with a K piece, and this time we're going, actually I think I'm going to draw my line without it moving on my felt, on my fleece. Again, draw your line and then pop that onto the bottom corner of your fleece, the opposite corner to what we've just done, and again following your line, we're going to sew from corner to corner, put our 1/4 inch mark on the sew line we've just made and cut. You can see why it's very handy to have one of those very small cutting mats, so that you can do this at your sewing machine rather than to have to keep jumping up. So now that corner, which is the B, M and K, is made, and it has to go next to L, which is the largest bit of fleece, but again they have to be snowballed with these little 1.5 inch squares. Again, they are K. All right, so this, I'm not going to draw my line this time, but I do suggest that you do draw your lines, okay? It's just that and I'm going to put the other K on in the other corner and do it the opposite way. Then get my little cutting board back out, and I can put my 1/4 inch mark and cut off the excess, and my other 1/4 inch mark on the sewing line and cut off the excess. All right, so now I am ready for this piece. L, did I say it was? With 2 Ks, to just fold back those snowballs on the bottom. So now, look, we're building up to making the face of the sheep. So now, the next thing we need to do is a J, which is J. Wait a minute. There it is. A J of both pieces. There it is. Couldn't find it. So now we've got 2 J's, same size, background and body of the sheep. And they're going to go together like this. Again, 1/4 inch, accurate 1/4 inch, please. And quickly give that a press. And then that should fit very nicely underneath the B, M and K that we've just made. So we can plonk those together. And the only thing we want to marry up on this is where the body of the sheep meets the inside. And I'm using mixed medias here, so that should be good. Right, so again, accurate 1/4 inch. Set my seam and open it back. There. So now you can see that that will fit onto the side of my L piece to form the first side of the sheep's face. Okay, and again, under my needle, a bit tougher than yours because I'm using fleece. Keeping that accurate seam. And I'm folding it so that the fleece is going towards the cotton because obviously it's thick. So there, I've got the first side of the face done. So now using pieces I, N and K, which is, that's 1, the I, what's I, that's an H. Oh, yeah, well it's the same size as the H anyway. So, yeah. No, not quite, 1 minute. The other pieces on there, no. What size is I? Yeah, it is a 2.5 inch square. And this is N. And that is a 2.5 by 3 inch rectangle, so that should fit. Okay, so it's exactly the same way, but it's the opposite corner this time. So we're going to plonk that on, and mine's a little bit bigger, I don't know why, probably because of fleece. So I'm just going to mark my line this time. I don't believe that's square. I really don't. 2.5 by, no, it wasn't square, you little dumb. I just knew it. Sometimes you just know, don't you? I didn't think it was. So it's always best to check your work as you go. I just knew that wasn't right. Okay. So 2.5 square and mark it diagonally. I'm marking this one because it's quite a long way to stitch, isn't it? and that's going to go so it folds to the right hand side. And it's not on. Oh, please be on. Just a moment. And it's going to walk. It walks on this fleece, if you know what I mean. And then we want that's going to fold back that way. Then we want the little 1.5 inch square to do right sides together on the opposite corner again, and we want that to run this way. Right, then we can cut off our excess. On both corners. And we can just press that out. Okay. So that's going to be here for the other side of the sheep's ear. And we just have a 2.5 inch square to attach the body, 2.5 inch square to attach to the base. Okay. Right. Yeah. Right, so then this will attach to this side of our sheep. So again, marry it up nice and accurately, 1/4 inch accurate seam, hopefully. You're under there, you little bum. I have made my life slightly awkward, in as much as I'm using fleece mixed in with cotton. But I like it. Now, let's just press that out. Okay. And as you can see, it's coming along. So what have we got to do next? Well, the next thing is we're going to use this big piece, which is G. And again, we're going to use our last 2.5 inch background square, and we are going to snowball the right hand corner. And again, I'm going to mark it from tip to tip, so I can see where I'm sewing. And I'm going to place that in that corner and sew right down that line. again, cut off our excess. Oh, what am I doing? Cut off the excess. I'll load a little bits here. And then, ow, press that corner back. Okay. And then this corner attaches to this side. Oh, I got a little mark then on my fleece. I don't know how. Oh, it will wipe out, right. So then we're going to place one on top of the other, and sew our our 1/4 inch, excuse me, seam. Quick press and a quick fold back. Now, okay, my apologies. I've had a bit of calamity this end. As the idiot I am, I didn't press the record button for the very last stages. All right. So I'm going to try and help you out now by using a bit of paper to mask things that have been done and not been done. So we were left, we didn't have that side on, yeah? We didn't have this bit on. They weren't joined up, okay? So what I did, yeah, was, first thing I did, forget the glass, this bottom section, which was only that wide, yeah, I added piece number, background, piece number D. I just, forget the grass, I just added piece D to this bottom section, okay. Then I sewed, so forget the grass, then I sewed this section to that section, so I had this square now, yeah. Then, forget all of that, I took piece number, I think it's E. I think that one is O, 1.5 inch square. And then this piece is a long piece, which is background, 9.5 inch by 1.5 inch rectangle. And forget the grass, yeah. Then I sewed these together, snowball in this corner on piece letter C. So this is C, that's E, that's O, yeah. So I snowballed O onto C and then put piece E on the top. So that was just a long strip then. And then I sewed it, because we already had this square now, I sewed it all the way down the side, okay. Then the last thing is the strip of grass, which is letter P, 1.5 by 12.5 inch. I could then sew all the way across the bottom. Right, which I did video, but I didn't push record. So I am a bit of a nightmare. I haven't even pressed this out properly yet, but I am a bit of a nightmare. So there is the finished my way round. So I'll turn it round so you can see it. There's your finished. Can you see that nicely? There's your finished sheep. However, having finished it, I realised, oh my God, what an idiot. I did something else wrong. This here is perfect. This here, can you see what I've done? This, I think it's K, isn't it? This one. This block, this tiny block here, the ear, I put in upside down. And I'm like, oh. So I looked at it and thought, well, do you know what? It should be the large piece at the top and the small piece down the bottom to match that. But I looked at it overall and I thought, well, I don't mind if I got a bit of a wonky sheep. It's not the right thing to do. I didn't look at it when I was attaching this bottom 2.5 inch square. I attached it to the wrong edge. But at the end of the day, I'm not bothered about it, to be honest. This is for a child. She isn't going to know the difference. It still looks like sheep's ears to me, so I'm going to leave it. Okay? So that was another problem I noticed having finished the square. So I'm very sorry about that, but that's just one of those things. I could take it all apart, but I'd have to take out that seam, that seam, that seam, this seam to turn it around. And at the end of the day, I didn't think it was that bad a thing to leave it. Now, the next thing we need to do is to square it up. Now, you can do this one of two ways. You can either have a square up ruler, 12.5 inch square up ruler, and mine is looking a little under, yeah? So I've got nothing to cut off. In fact, I'm just a tad out on this bottom line, which isn't going to make any difference. Or if you were listening to me when I was saying to you about using my XL ruler, yeah, the half ones are the white squares. I don't know if you can see this on your camera. I hope you can. But you can put your finished work on there. So this is a cut at the same time, yeah? And then if it is too big, you can use these lines then to cut and make it 12.5 inch. Mine isn't quite 12.5 inches. It's not a problem. As I say, you know, we all get our seams not quite right. So I'm not worried about it. As far as I'm concerned, that's my 12.5 inch block. Now, the other thing is, I'm just going to do it in pen now because I thought, well, I don't want to do the actual hand stitching until this is attached to the quilt, okay? Because I wanted to go into the backing to give it a bit of definition so that I can sew it into the backing. But what we are going to do, and I can just, you know, I am going to put, remembering you've got a 1/4 inch up there, so I am just going to draw myself, see? This is where I'm going to stitch his 2 eyes, and then I suppose I ought to use a ruler. And keep it straight. I am going to draw, about 1 inch apart. Yeah, and then again, same sort of distance in from the edge. Yeah, 1 inch apart, which is the other way now. 1 inch apart. I'm just drawing the line in with a friction pen, which irons out, but it won't matter. I am just going to draw in those lines. These are going to be stem stitch. I'll show you how to do it, and that's just a cross stitch. So that will be, let's turn it around your way. That will be when this is stitched onto the backing. I will just do that. I could actually, once it's on, instead of doing it by hand, It's only in my hand actually. When it's all made up into the quilt and the quilt backing is on, yeah, I could just stitch that with black thread, couldn't I, on the machine? And that, and that, and that, and that. Use a, what they call a treble stitch, or a, yeah, I could just use a 6 stitch and do it by a machine. So no hand sewing whatsoever. Okay, so that's the finished 12-inch block, 12.5-inch block, ready to go. Block 1, ready to go, the sheep, as our first block of this series. Thank you for watching.